Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. You know that music. Bob Loeser is in the house. Delighted to be able to spend some time with him today, talking to you about what's going on the tax front. Every single time we have him on the program, he's bringing you great, valuable, important information, particularly what's happening as far as dates and deadlines. We don't get enough of you these days, my friend. Welcome to the program.
He's back.
He's back. That's funny. I used that earlier on the show, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah. A little bit of poltergeist, yeah.
Deja vu all over again.
All over again.
That's right. Well, good morning. Good to see you again.
I just hope it's not a harbinger of things to come. Well, you are talking before the break. There certainly is a lot to talk about. But before we talk about some of the political stories that caught your attention, that rings IRS scandal again and again and again and again, let's talk a little bit about some deadlines that you think people need to be cognizant of.
Well, I mean, there are two upcoming for those procrastinators. I joke with you procrastinators because several of my clients are procrastinators, but they pay me well to be procrastinators. September 15th is a corporate deadline. The corporate deadline includes C corporations and S corporations. The importance about being late after September 15th for S corporations, they can charge you, the IRS, that is $95 per partner per month penalty for filing late, even if there's no tax due with the S corp ever. So you want to get something in, even if it's an approximation that you have to amend at a later date. Because think about it, you got 8 partners at $95 a piece. That's $760 penalty for being 3 days late or 5 days late. The second, and corporations, S corps, partnerships, and trusts are all due the September 15th deadline. Then we have the October 15th deadline, which are those for personal procrastinators. Most of those people owe money and are not getting back money, because if they were getting back money, they'd be front and center trying to ask for their refunds.
This is true.
Which we previously talked about, and I told you, I think last month, that there were 6 clients of mine that were owed to them by the IRS in refunds over $30,000. And quote-unquote got letters saying, we are processing your return, and as soon as we're done processing it, it'll be another 4 to 6 weeks before you get your refund.
We'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
So they literally took 8 to 12 weeks where they normally took 4 to 6. And remember back in March and April, I told you if you didn't get your returns in and didn't get your refunds, grab them quickly, they were going to claim something, but the bottom line is they ran out of money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the bottom line came to. But nice to announce now that 2 of the 6, one for $32,000 and one for $91,000, actually got their checks 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
They were happier than happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet they were. Yeah, we got our check a little late, too, and it was like, we like to see that money any day now.
Right.
So, but you were also talking before the break about something going down in the area of that lovely little franchise tax that makes Rick Perry my favorite.
Interestingly enough, we talked about this. May 15th was the deadline for franchise. Over $1 million, I think it's $1,030,000, you have to pay tax if the calculation comes out. Under $1,030,000, you have to report on that reporting statement, but there is no tax due ever. Okay. Well, now what they're doing is they've acknowledged in certain cases if you filed extensions, but in others it looks like they don't acknowledge the extension being filed, and then send you an estimate saying you owe us $1,000. The penalties are $50 for filing late and a 10% penalty for not paying the $1,000. So now you owe us $1,150. Got 6 of them last week from clients.
Wow.
Okay, most of these entities show zeros or very little business. They're inactive. Okay. We had to write each one of them. We had to send them a notification with the extension saying this is the extension that we filed back on May 15th. We owe you nothing. There is nothing. There are no sales. The sales are under $1 million.
Yeah.
30,000.
Yeah.
Right, 6 of them.
Read your rules. I hate this tax. I hate it. It's taxation without representation of money you actually make, because it's going straight through to pay for the cost of doing business.
Correct.
But it's, at least it's a simple tax. How can they be getting confused? I mean, it's 1% over $1 million.
But think about it. We've talked about this with the IRS also. How many people just write the check for $1,150 and say, go away, stop bothering me, when they don't owe it? The IRS does the same thing and say, well, you owe us $98.38. And instead of sending it to their rep, their CPA, their attorney, their advisor, what they do is they write the check for $98, and a month or two later go, oh, by the way, Bob, I wrote a check for $98.43 because I just wanted to get them off my back. Well, not only don't you owe it, but you paid $160 before this, so now they owe you the $160 plus the $98.43 in penalty.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting about that is that all that does is when you acquiesce like that is validate that behavior.
Yeah, right.
You encourage them to keep being so cavalier when it comes to my money, you know? And so if you're tired of an oppressive government, quit treating it like someone that you serve and make it something that serves you.
Right. I mean, we've talked about this in the past with Obamacare. The IRS is going to run Obamacare.
Yeah.
The accounting end of it. Please. What's next? When they get mad at Kevin Price because he said something on the air, they're going to acknowledge, because now they're going to have all his health records, go, hey, Kevin had XYZ disease back in 87 when he was smoking dope.
Yeah.
This is not actually...
Wait a minute. I gave up pot way before 87.
Oh, okay. So, sorry. This doesn't recognize the station's policy on drugs.
Yeah, that's just exactly how it works, man. Do you still beat your wife?
That's right. Or how long have you been a communist?
Yeah, exactly. Some of these questions are really hard to answer, regardless of how ridiculous they are. Okay, speaking of ridiculous, this is an interesting story. My friend, she ran for U.S. Senate, Christine O'Donnell. We chatted a few times. Interesting candidate. Pounded people. I mean, she creates foaming in the mouth from the left, especially in the state of Delaware. You got Senator Chuck Grassley, who's one of the leading members of the U.S. Senate, chair of the Senate Finance Committee, charging that Delaware officials have stopped cooperating with his investigation. Chuck Grassley has sent a pointed letter to the state's Division of Revenue in which he outlines specific, outstanding questions about the handling of former U.S. Senate candidate Christine O'Donnell's tax records. Apparently, they're doing in Delaware what the IRS is doing, here in terms of targeting people they don't like.
Correct. But the issue was, and I raised this to you, we talked about this again before the break, I saw her on Cavuto last night on Business World or whatever it is, and what she was trying to say was that the day that the elections were being held, somebody the night before hacked into her IRS records, posted that she had owed XYZ in federal taxes on such and such, and there was a lien on her home, posted it, and then called the newspaper and two other services saying, oh, by the way, here's the candidate that you're going to vote for. She has a tax lien on her home. Mm-hmm. Okay? Was not true. And that's what Grassley's going after right now. And she even said on air last night that she's given all waivers and authorizations to even the Senate, that they can ask any questions they want for the state of Delaware, and the state of Delaware's rep says, we don't have any release forms from the former candidate.
Unbelievable. It's just it's the mugging of America. We are now getting into the strong arm, communist, Marxist type tactics that, and particularly the way regimes are done in banana republics. We're now seeing that happen with the use of government agencies.
There's easy ways to eliminate you as a threat, politically, economically, emotionally, etc., by just fabricating things.
Great article over at usdailyreview.com. It's titled Government Gone Wild. You can see it there today. And the basic thesis of the article is that the reality is that all of us are guilty of something because of the huge number of laws that are out there. And if this government decides to become a dictatorship, they can put you in a jail in a snap because you've already committed some crime and you haven't even realized it. And that's based on the research of the Heritage Foundation, not a bunch of conspiracy theorists here. But we're talking about one of the most legitimate conservative think tanks. You're guilty. If this government decides to become truly a regime, like I jokingly refer to it, you're already going to jail, buddy.
All right.
So
it's
time to go. Bob Loeser goes fast every time you're here.
Yeah, I'm going to give you my phone number. It's 713-953-1272. That's 713-953-1272.
You can also email him at taxmanbob@pdq.net. That's taxmanbob@pdq.net. Thank you, sir.
Always great to see you.
Good to see you. Great job. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com.
There's one for you, 19 for me.